Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaste, and once again, it's Wednesday, and it's 10 p.m., and it's Jaipur Dialogue, and it's Shri Vibhuti Jha.
Namaste. Namaste to all the viewers.
Welcome, Vibhuti Ji.
Thank
So, America is falling, I find, Joe Biden is waffling, and he's trying to appease China. And India is hitting China. The same China that is being hit by India is being appeased by Joe Biden. What's happening? America gone.
I don't know. America is not gone so quickly. It will not be. But, as the saying goes, everything has a cycle of its own, right? So, sun set on the British Empire. Nobody talks about the Japanese art of management anymore. And everybody knows about China, what it does. So in the current situation, what I find is that India is indeed rising. And India is fortunate, and I would put it very blandly, that India is very fortunate to have a leader like Narendra Modi ji, who has given a completely new branding to the country. There is something which I say as an NRI and who has been deeply involved in promoting India's image as a destination for business opportunity. So when I came here in 91, we had no story, no narrative, nothing to tell. We had no brand. Our brand was in the dust. So from that time till 2021, it has been quite some time. India doesn't need to be marketed anymore. What India needs, India is known. India is now respected. And एक हम corruption का badge पहनते थे साहब. Every NRI used to wear a badge of corruption, a corrupt India. So that badge is off, which itself is a big thing to happen. So today the business houses are talking about for once we don't have to bribe anybody in India. Now ground level, I'm not saying the bribery is gone 100%. Americans in a very facile manner, Americans call it speed money. Facilitation.
As if it doesn't exist in America. I can tell you a few instances of my own.
It's part of the corporate dialogue, corporate ethics and rules that you can't bribe anybody, but you can provide speed money to accelerate the transaction. So the wordplay goes on big time, and branding is important, and it is a very important branding part. It begins from home. So when a child is scared of the thunder and lightning, what do parents do at that time? We are here, don't worry. That's the brand which sticks in the child's mind. That come hell or high water, my parents are with me. I'm safe, I'm good. That's one of the most simple examples of branding. If at that time, if parents also start panicking, then you know what happens. That's what is important about understanding the brand name. Today, what is happening in America is post-Trump, they suffered from Trump derangement syndrome. Now we have Biden. He's undoing everything which Trump was doing, good, bad, or ugly. But a US is at the moment, I find, is unable to meet the real challenge of plenty and affluence, continuity and change. He's unable to handle that, unable to address that issue. And you are looking at a scenario that on the one hand, the plenty and affluence has created a very strong rising socialist model here. So you have on the one hand, Bernie Sanders, who had his honeymoon in Russia, is realizing that it is possible to continue his honeymoon of socialism in America too. It may have taken him years.
Wherever you have wealth, these guys will come to distribute it, is it?
Exactly.
They are the agents of distribution.
That's right. So what is happening right now is a lot in America. It is right now, it almost looks like that mobocracy has shaken up the democracy in America. So it is a mob rule. You have seen this play out in India as well. But what did India do? India has handled the mobocracy, Shaheen Bagh, and all the changes Prime Minister is trying to bring in a very resolute manner. You know, let's not ever dilute the importance of 370 CA at all. These have been an amazing branding of India that India can do and not wait for 100 years as threatened by some vested interests. It did it. So India is right now a country that is a doing country, happening country. For a long time, we have been under the shadow of, India mein baat hoti hai, kuch hota nahi hai. But now you are seeing the action play out. I mean, who would have ever thought that the Prime Minister of country will invoke that it's not government job to be in business? And he's installing a confidence, responsibility to the Indian industry, to the private sector, that you are equal player in the life of the country. Not government can't do everything. These are really new branding of India that is happening, which is very endearing to the West. Because this is also showing that India is emerging out of the shadows of socialism without diluting on providing everybody an opportunity to prevail. So this is what is important, that in what is happening in India is now opportunity is created. India is no longer a country that used to be that India never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity, So we are not that country anymore. So we are now seizing on the opportunity. And America, on the other hand, is playing very dangerous game. So even so much so that even federal communication people are talking about, and Democratic Party is talking about, banning Fox, Newsmax, and OAN channels, which are conservative channels, from the cable network. So on the one hand, a champion of democracy is imposing or bringing my will, and that's the way it is. Whereas in India,
my way or the highway.
My way or the highway. But in India, we are looking at protests galore, even protests leading to violence. But look at the restraint India has shown in terms of handling that scenario. So there is a definite amount of maturity that the government has installed in the practices. That is important. And what I also find is, and to my great delight, I'm a champion of that part of it. And I've always believed that if Hindus do not arise, awaken, and assert, then we will be lost forever. Today's India, with 80% of the Hindu population, has woken up, which is what is very, very important to notice, that we are now beginning to have a sense of pride in who we are. And we may be 72-year young independent country, but we have a history and tradition of more than thousands and thousands of years. That is not a myth. That is a reality. So what was India's image, brand? When I came in this country, it was about the cow, the elephant, and the, and the goat, and, the people who were abusing women. But we have now transformed that image dramatically. And we have to do that in the sense that, hey, talk about equality. Shiva and Parvati are the original examples of gender equality in the country. We have established that. We have given pride of place to women, not because they deserve it, because they have it. It is not talked about. Ram and Sita, Radha and...
You are going against the feminist agenda.
Right.
I think they're going to denounce you.
That's right. So that's what I'm talking about. The America of today is somewhere along the line is not able to handle its own branding. So today you are looking at, I have always said that the Democratic Party has two agendas. And look at their play right now as it is going on in Biden administration. Unfettered immigration and promise things for free. That's the mool basis on which Democratic Party operates. And you can see that every action of theirs is driven by that agenda. And very surprisingly enough, it is in conversation that what exactly is Democratic Party doing? It is becoming more and more fascistic. That if you don't agree with me, I will denounce you. So if you are a conservative, you are attacked. If you are you're called deplorable. And look at the sad thing that happened 2 days ago when Dr. Ramesh Japra is a friend of mine. He's a very good Yeah, he's a Amsonian doctor. I've known him since 1991, and he's become very prosperous. He loves the country. He started a newspaper called India Post to project India in the right image. We know each other well, and we love our country. And incidentally, we are both very fond of Prime Minister Modi and what is happening in the country. Look at what happened. The mobocracy attacked him because he is supporting the farm bill without going into the merits of it. So you are looking at a kind of mobocracy returning to America as a threat to democratic principles. And that needs to be contested. America under Democratic Party is losing that battle because their image is right now about a party of lawlessness, which gives in turn the country where everything that is not according to their whims and fancies is undemocratic. So that's the image that is hurting. But I also believe in one thing for sure, that compared to any other country, and I will compare with India, United States is 3 times larger, is a very resource-rich country. That's why it is affluent. It has a work culture. This is the country where the Wall Street measures productivity of labor as an index of how the businesses are going to perform. So these are elements that are threatened right now. But hey, America will survive it all because it's a very rich country. It has a great population advantage. It is a huge country. It needs people. So therefore, it will survive. It will survive my lifetime for sure. In what shape and size, I do not know for sure. But America always was about what the world must be. It is not being in that way. Which democracy in the world would want its leader humiliated the way America does to its leader, under the brand of nobody is above the law? So these are very important issues, and I think America needs to manage the brand, its own brand, instead of running around Iran and EU and others to be like them, as I say. It is the world needs to be like America, because whatever brought prosperity to America was the process and policies they followed. And I have said this many times to my South American friends and to the people from Guatemala and other people where they are migrating to America because everybody wants to come here. America must install its own practices in those countries. So why would anybody leave home? These are the issues which are capturing the imagination of people. That if we have been successful, if you have been successful doing the media thing, others can follow. Why does everybody have to depend on somebody else? That's my opening statement on that.
Yeah, that's quite some opening statement.
Thank you.
But the fact still remains that whatever the American government seems to be doing, I do not think they have made any right moves as yet. They are like what Biden is saying with respect to China. It's neither here nor there.
Right.
So that only encourages the bully. And that he is doing when they have the evidence, they have the immediate evidence that this bully can be taken on only by confronting it, as India has shown.
Right.
And that Indian experiment, or I'd say that Indian action, the proactive action against China, is actually reverberating all over the world.
Absolutely.
In all the world capitals, all major world capitals, that is the talk.
Correct.
And the Americans seem to be blissfully aware. They are more keen on pushing their socialist agenda. I don't know what has come over this country. It wants to become socialist. The country which is sworn by the capitalist ethic that calls it as part of its grand narrative is now being taken over by a handful of wokes. What's going on, Vibhuti Ji? Are you safe?
You are absolutely right, because if I air my view, I'm attacked. This is something terrible which is happening in Democratic Party, and they are playing into the numbers game. And what the Democratic Party realized is, starting from Clinton in a way, followed by President Obama in a very strong way, and then the remaining candidates, was realizing this element that between Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Elon Musk, they also have one vote. And there are a group of people, you can create a vote bank. And that's what is hurting the country most, is that playing the vote bank politics. And this has seeped in as to take advantage of the whole process.
They learned it from Lalu Yadav, it seems.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I'm 100% sure that there are some very strong socialist advisors that have come from India to tell them that this is how we provided and captured the imagination. But now you know, doing that, how India has turned around. So the vote bank politics is coming to an end in India, because those politics, that kind of politics will not work. And there is another important part, that Darwinian principle of survival of the fittest is no longer true. The world now belongs to people who are able to adjust the fastest to the changing narrative. So you are absolutely right. I'm 100% in agreement with you on the China part of it. Somewhere along the line, that matter needs to be investigated more and more, and it is getting investigated. Now, why is Biden so soft on China? Even to say that their culture is the way they are, that means you are abandoning your belief and your culture and your faith in a country that has prospered because of 90% of the economy is in the private sector, and they contribute. The defense industry, the highly secret industry, is part of the American narrative. You are abandoning that part of it by blaming them for what they could be or they are not, instead of making things better. So it is very clear that if United States has now had unfortunate thing that more than 500,000, 5 lakh people have died in America because of Wuhan virus, coronavirus, call it any which way name. And nobody is thinking about investigating how the hell it happened. Only Republicans are asking this question. Even Democrat Party people are not asking that question. As if Chinese are holding them in their most inconvenient position. Holding them by their whatever. So I can't say that on the TV part of it, but to colloquial language, you know what I meant. So what is it that China is controlling America in that ridiculous fashion, that America is willing to compromise on the philosophy and principles that made them great? So while everything is fine, I have said this many times in the past, and I say that America will survive all of it. America has fought many wars, fought many dissensions. So they will overcome that part of it. But it is the political leadership that will be critical. The policy of appeasement that America somehow has begun to implement in its way of life, Democratic Party particularly, they will have to pay a dear price. Think about it. Rahul Gandhi is now suddenly realizing that Kerala is so beautiful, and North Indians are what they are. So now
North Indians are superficial. He knows that. He says now North Indians are superficial.
So exactly. So now, which means, what does it mean? That means he is done. Congress party is done in the North. Which North Indian will even vote for that kind of a mindset? Forget about the party. Parties come and go. But if you have that kind of a mindset, that you suddenly discovered the beauty of Kerala and the educated state of Kerala, you know what exactly his constituency is all about. So, when you are beginning to do that, that means Congress party is done in the North. I mean, there is no way he has any face to come back and talk about it. That's what is happening.
I hope you're not suggesting that Rahul Gandhi is going to start a movement for a separate country for some of these South Indian states.
I would not be surprised, because he's a desperate man.
You don't put it beyond him. But then who will make him That's what they did with Telangana, Andhra.
Right.
And look what happened.
Exactly.
They've got wiped out in both.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, that politicians can become desperate. But by the way, I must tell you this, based on my interactions with people here, that the wave or to desire to create a North-South divide is not new. It has been there. This man is now fomenting it, because he has been branded as Pappu. His brand, what is Pappu, Rahul Gandhi's brand?
What do you call Pappu in Keralites? In Malayalam? Let's find out. Let's call him by that name. Because I think he resents North Indians because they call him Pappu.
That's right. So what I'm saying is that is his brand. And that's the kind of brand which the left people are now getting. Useless, trash. And I tweeted, actually, I do not know how many people saw that he might as well change his name to Rahul Robert go to Din. I said that. Rahul Robert go to Din. That is his new brand right now. But whoever gives me some bhav, I will champion that person's cause. And we also came to know recently that Congress party is suffering from paucity of funds. So of course you are not in the government. So
they are supporting the farm agitations, these fake farm agitations everywhere.
Yeah.
So they don't seem to be running out of money. But of course, one more thing, I just wanted to mention about the American culture as it is unraveling these days, is that the Indian farm laws are fascist. That's the narrative. And China's genocide of the Uyghurs is their culture.
That's right.
So how do you reconcile this with the grand democratic narrative of the American political system and the Democratic Party? They're supposed to be democratic by their name, by their very name.
That's a very, very important point to note. And it is what is going to happen. I'll tell you what is going to happen here is that the vote bank politics of immigration that they're playing, the Democratic Party is relying upon that element, that every country has to have its own culture. We have to respect it. But they forget the Chinese who are here, the Cubans who are here, the people who have left their country and come here, they did not come here to bring their country back here. The Chinese, they may be spies and everything else, but the Chinese and the Cubans and many immigrants who are here, they are here to be good. They are here to make a living. They are here to make a life, to live the American dream. So today, what we have talked about once in the past is that the American dream is not about a Ferrari and a beachfront house. American dream was to live respectfully with dignity, with whatever you earned with respect. And that is one thing which has threatened because of a very interesting element called cost of education. Because of technology playing a big role in the lifestyle of everyone. So you need to be highly educated to get into certain specialized work, which fetches you most money. And that's what is important for people to know, that the American dream is currently suffering from a debt trap. That's why Biden walked back on the promise to waive the student debt, which runs in trillions of dollars. But he has time to prepare completely, to use the American slang, a pork barrel approach of doing things, of printing money to facilitate certain causes and certain, vested interests. That, because of technology, again, people get to know instantly. So whatever that $1.9 trillion you are trying to pass a budget, immediately people know what is in that budget. As a result of which, if you suddenly have said $50 billion for libraries and things like that, people say, what the hell is that? I mean, the public library system is a great thing in America. But does it need that kind of money to just sustain itself? The questions have begun to be asked in a very concerted manner, and it's not going away. That is the reason why Democratic Party is trying to shut the media, those who oppose or those who question or those who ask what is it going on. So you are right about that. And this is where the challenge comes to America as well. One of the critical policies which a famous satirist said, that America will never have a coherent foreign policy because everybody in America is a foreigner. So that's one of the challenges that America faces, in the melting pot faces. But there is a definite concern here in people like me, and there are others like me, who are saying that this is not the America I came to. This is not the America I came to way back when I came here. The sense of pride, the sense of dignity, that the dream is fulfillable, achievable, respect for human dignity and human labor, that is getting eroded. And that's the real challenge America faces. And Democratic Party will very soon have to look at it, because the movement to unseat the Democrats from the House and Senate has already started. 2022 is coming. So when Trump will address the Conservative Party members on Sunday, one of the things will be, don't think of 2024. Let's focus on 2022 to capture the House and make sure that this particular degeneration does not happen in American life. So America is a concerned country. I have hope, quintessential thing called hope. I have not given up. And there are people who will fight, and it will go on. Fighting is the part of American vernacular. Let's fight. So there's nothing wrong in it. And the fight will go on. Yes.
Let's try and change continents and
Sure.
come back to Asia. Of course, I mentioned a lot about how India tackled China. How is that being seen in the United States?
To my disappointment, let me tell you this. Although Secretary Pompeo, the former Secretary Pompeo, had said that China is a bully, threatened India with war, in Democratic Party nobody talks about it. American media, which is completely left-driven, doesn't talk about it. So Aam Janta, if you look at it this way, they may not be even aware of what has happened and how India dealt with the China issue. And that's what is important for us to teach. But Asian countries, they are not as unawares as majority of Americans are. Asian countries are very aware of it. They are very happy that at last somebody stood up to China. And that's why Mr. Modi is held in very high regard. So there is a hope. It's very important for India to be able to sustain that pressure on China. It's so fascinating for me to make that statement that earlier we used to be under the threat of China, under pressure. But this time we have put China under pressure on the back foot. And that's where China has a challenge now, whether it will be able to hold on to India's rise. And that's where the rest of the Asian countries are sincerely and seriously looking at India. Because remember, even Singapore has its own democratic structure, right? So if you remember the incident that an American boy, traveled tourist, painted a car and he was put behind bars. And America at that time talked about freedom of expression. And Singapore told them, no, it's my country. We run our country in our own way. And that boy had to be in jail for the designated period. So this is where the cultural thing begins to play a big role, that democracy is being redefined. It's not mobocracy. And I would put it this way, like it or don't, but Singapore did put a Lakshman Rekha on its own behavior and responsibility of people. So, you do not have unfettered freedom to do whatever you wanted. It will lead to mobocracy. And I think India has handled that mobocracy very well. And it has to be more on keep going on the front foot basis, I would put it that way. That anticipate the problem, because any change that India will introduce now in the country will have some disgruntled element, and they will be part of the toolkit of Greta Thunberg to make them angry, aroused, and branded as HR violation. So India will have to be, India and Indians, Indian government, every single person who is watching the show or not watching the show will have to be very cognizant of this fact, that branding is not correct, and we must arise, awaken, and assert our own branding, which is very important.
Okay, now let's talk about the Biden assault on the American, what is called the energy buffer that Trump had prepared. And Joe Biden is appearing to be dismantling that particular buffer that he prepared, and in fact had not only made America energy sufficient, but actually energy surplus. And in fact, it had become one of the biggest suppliers of crude to India.
Right.
And Biden, of course, was mm, strongly questioned on his opposition to fracking in Pennsylvania,
Right.
but still, somehow he managed to grab Pennsylvania.
Right.
And it seems to be having its impact globally when we find the rising oil prices everywhere.
Right.
What is that?
There
What should
is.
one say? Is it the narrative, or it is some kind of an uh, tactic or a strategy? What is that supposed to be?
It is a. It is. There is a big lobby, big lobby of climate change that we know, from Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth till now. But all the people who are talking about climate change, and as a so people have said that in 10 years' time the world will not be the same if we don't arrest the growth. So there is a thing called fear psychosis they operate on, right? So there is a fear psychosis which has gripped the Democratic Party of pushing an agenda of climate change. Now, scientifically speaking, I do not know much about that. I do know one thing for sure, that there is a thing called prioritization of the problem. So for example, many people have now begun to believe and accept the fact that our eating habit needs to change immediately. That is something that we control instantly. So whether it is John Kerry or all those people who are promoting climate change agenda, they are themselves flying in private jets and doing all that. That gets to be known. People are getting questioned on that. How really is this issue as serious as it is? If Biden says we are based on science, then let's look at science, because science also has conflicts of its own, because there is always two sides to the story. So which side is more relevant? So the climate change agenda is driving the socialist part of the work, and that's what is, it is going to hurt America most. So Trump created energy self-sufficiency. That was remarkable. In United States became self-sufficient. Now what has happened? I've heard about the news reports of petrol prices going up in India. Even in the US, till Trump was in power, the US, we were paying $2.15 per gallon. Today's price is $2.85. So we have seen a spike of 70 cents per gallon in the price of gas. What we call it gas here, we call it petrol in India. But that will hit the pockets immediately. Although we have survived $4 gas as well. But in this particular moment, coronavirus has impacted the economies very adversely. If at that time the small and medium businesses are going to have the wallets will be pinched, the profitability will be pinched because of gas prices, people are going to say, bring back the old. That's where the 4-year system of election and 2 midterm elections allows them to effect a change. And I'm very confident that you will see a major shift happen in the US House of Representatives. It will swing to the Republican Party because of the fact that they are creating policies in the name of helping the poor that is hurting the poor. And this is...
But they've always done that. They have done that throughout their history, the leftists. Always. After all, they came to Venezuela on the promises of El Dorado. And look what happened.
Exactly. So that's what is people are now getting to realize, that AOCs and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren of the left variety, there are many in the Democratic Party themselves who oppose the socialist ideology completely, because they recognize one thing for sure, that we became what we are is because of capitalist principles. Socialism didn't get us where we are. And people are not coming to a socialist country when they try to migrate here. They are coming to a capitalist country where they can live what was known as an American dream and is still talked about, but the dream is definitely in doldrums, to put it mildly. That American dream is in doldrums, right?
What does the Indian immigration scene looks like at this point?
Well, the Indian immigration, you are talking about the IT and other people. I think I have always believed this. I've always believed that Indians are going to be the biggest beneficiaries of US immigration policy, particularly because of STEM and technology and education, that highly educated that we will be needed. India will benefit. But right now the focus is not on India, because India is not a very liked country or liked element, politically speaking, from Democratic Party point of view. So I do not know if they will design something anti-India, but they cannot do anything anti-India. As I have said before, and I will say it again, India is too big to be ignored by America for a variety of reasons. And India is right now has the ability to become the true engine of growth, because we have a great market, a big market, and big talent pool. So how we shape up and how we do our things is critical for ourselves to gain our own position in the geopolitical environment that is currently ruling the world. So we need to get engaged. We need to get more active. We need to get more proactive, anticipate a problem and work on it. So that's what is, I think, Indian immigration. I'm not worried about Indian immigration scenario at all. Actually, you have seen one of the biggest things that has happened is that H4 category will be eligible to get a job here, so which had been disrupted. So I'm looking at the fact that Indians are contributing to society. They are wanted, they are loved, they are admired, we have a reputation, and I think we will arise to that part. So there is no threat to India, I'll put it this way. So, but we need to put our own infrastructure in place, that we ought to be in a position to say that even if you don't need our people are here to do it, whether you are in Kadapa, Jhumri Talaiya, or anywhere.
And what's that H4 visa is about?
H4 visa is the spouse ka hota tha, ki if somebody came here on H1, so their spouse used to come here as on H4. It had certain restrictions that your husband or wife, the person who has come on H1 is here on a job. The H4 must not take. H4 was the category for the spousal entry here. And like when I came here, my wife's social security had a stamp on it, not eligible for employment. So they were ineligible for employment. But subsequently, now the rule is that yes, H4 can also be eligible for employment. So you are looking at a scenario which is net positive for every Indian.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And the elephant in the room still remains as far as the US is concerned, and that is COVID.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any satisfactory resolution of COVID as yet.
Well,
and your friend Cuomo seems to be going from bad to worse.
I'll tell you one thing. You brought out his name, because of the victimization process. The guy is absolutely nuts. In the sense, I can say that here on the TV, he has been the biggest beneficiary of the media coverage or the media largesse towards him. They even gave him an Emmy for his press conferences to talk about coronavirus, the poetic part he used to talk about. And in reality, he understated the number of deaths of senior citizens. So he asked Trump for space, and Trump gave him a Navy medical ship with 10,000 bed capacity. He did not use that at all, returned it, and used a policy that led to the death of more than 15,000 people that he understated. And left media doesn't talk about it. Today, Governor Cuomo is the most disliked person in New York State. And he's trying to run the election for the 4th term, and he will have tough fight. But for the media support he's getting, he ought to be out. He should have, if he had any respect, if I were in his place, I would have at least returned the Emmy Award, which was it was a big joke. And he ought to just quit, resign on the basis of respect for the rule of law, the way he did. He suppressed instead, he's fighting. That is the American culture. You fight until proven guilty. That's where he takes the rule of law as an advantage. That's why I say that most of the time it is always the criminals who thrive on the compassion of society and the compassion of rule of law. So he is fighting. I hope New Yorkers wake up and to bring back Republican sense, because we had Pataki, we had Mayor Giuliani as the governor, mayor of New York City, turned around. Bloomberg was the Republican candidate, turned independent, became Democrat. And every democratic rule of mayor or the governor's rule has been disastrous for New York State, has been disastrous for New York State. And people are beginning to realize that if Manhattan is no longer going to be the same, real estate prices are falling, people are leaving. It is happening. It's serious. There are more number of postal addresses change coming from New York City alone. So you are looking at a scenario when the pride of place is gone, then what exactly are you fighting for? So people are saying that, hey, we were better off before than we are now. New York City is is an unsafe place now. I'm reminded of 1991 when I came here. It was an unsafe place. It became great. The New York City that we know of is because of Giuliani and Bloomberg. Not Blasio's democracy, not Blasio's mayoral rule. He has made an absolute joke of New York City, and mayor and governor are at loggerheads with each other. Think about it like that. So mayor is saying, while Cuomo was chastising Blasio for running New York City the way he runs, now the mayor is asking there should be a full-fledged investigation of Cuomo's rule. So you are seeing a fissure and a challenge happening within the Democratic Party, and that will be benefit the Republican, of course. Yeah. Cuomo is a joke, unfortunately. He is a joke. His father was a great governor. This man is all word, no talk. All word, only talk, no action.
Okay, so I think time is ripe for us to now move into the question answer round. Let me request all my viewers to like the video, share the video, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon. And of course, we are all for your support, and you've been wonderful. And please remain as wonderful as you have been, maybe more. So, questions and answers now.
Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Akshay Ghate. Genghis Khan ruled the world and stopped at the gates of India. Can this narrative be built to make friends with the Mongols and surround China from north? Mongolia is a small blip compared to China.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And those old Mongols that you're talking about, they actually became Chinese after ruling China for a long time.
This is a good idea, where the idea can be taken in this way, Akshay, that we can definitely support Tibet more, support Taiwan more, and create that kind of a strength of manufacturing and exports to Asian countries and be the political leader. We can do that.
I don't know if Mr. Akshay remembers that particular incident when Modi visited Mongolia, gave them a line of credit, and immediately after he left Mongolia, China blocked their access.
Right.
And brought them to the knee within a week's time.
Right.
And then after that, they had to just simply kowtow to what China was doing. And China has now started a complete cultural cleansing in the inner Mongolia province, which is actually an extension of Mongolia, but part of China. So Mongolia has very little leverage as far as China is concerned. It's a very small country compared to China. Next. Oh, you have a Donald Trump here. Is coup good? Can I please join? Well, I have joined. So hello, hi Trump. What I have done, you can always do.
Absolutely. It's time for me to join coup too.
Yes, well, yes, certainly. Oneness, Vibhuti Ji. We may feel very good of our heritage being the age group we are, but the youth need an education system which inspires to youth to feel what we feel. The history books provide zero inspiration.
This issue has been talked about. You are very correct with your assessment and concern. I would put it that way. That but then Mr. Javadekar may be proud of not having changed any part of the history, but through the process of technology, through Jaipur dialogues and entities like this, there is a new education happening. So it feels good for me when I see so many young people participating. And I have said this before, and I will say it again, that India's demographic dividend has to be reaped to its fullest extent, and it must not be allowed to become the demographic burden. And I think that's what Prime Minister Modi is working towards, to involve the youth. And I've been a young man once upon a time, and I believe the power of youth is good. The education is essential. And now, because of, you don't need to rely upon the textbooks to read about your history. I would say, I would quote the management consultant who said that Indians don't need to go abroad to study management. They need to study, not read. Need to study Mahabharata and Ramayana and our own texts. Life story is right out there. And if you want to become successful in life, you have to inculcate your own principles in your own life. Yoga is a physical part of it, mental part of it. But there is a yogic principles that drive your life. So we have forgotten our own good. So let's kind of focus, leave the government, whatever it is government is doing or is able to do or not. But individual initiative has to come from us. What does government prevent us from reading Mahabharata and Ramayana or studying them? No, let's do that. And that's where the wisdom lies. Bhagavad Gita is full of real life lessons, relevant even in 21st century and probably even in 28th.
Quite right. Next. वेस्ट दुनिया को कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी बचा सकती है.
वेस्ट दुनिया को देखिए, ऐसा conservatism and liberalism is a philosophy, is a mindset, right? We are all conservatives and we are all liberals depending on the moment in time. So there is another group called in America called the libertarians, who are economically, from the economic point of view, they are conservative, but social point of view, they are liberals. So there is a growth of another thought process, libertarianism in America. Has not gathered more traction, but they are leaning on the conservative side. So you have to remember one thing very important. It's not a conservative party. It's the thinking part of it. And I say this repeatedly, and I'm happy to say this. All of us have to draw our own line around our life. And that's what is important. Every liberal, I have asked this question of liberal people here. When do you draw a line around your liberal philosophies? And I have asked this question of conservative people. When do you break through the barrier of conservatism to embrace something else? So it is important to figure that out. It is the thought process that enables a system to work. It's not a party or the other.
Right. Jyotsna Rani, Jai Hind, sir. There's a major chaos in Nepal as we speak. What do you think India's role be, passive or proactive?
Insofar as Nepal is concerned, I think we need to be more proactive. Passivity will not lead us, because if India ignores Nepal, regardless of what it is, whatever it is, it's a country of its own right. It's a Hindu country. It was a Hindu country until it declared secular. But the point of the matter remains that if we do not engage with our neighbors, so think about it like this, that India has neighbors, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. These are our immediate neighbors, and Afghanistan on the northwest. We have to engage with them. You have to have your adjacent boundaries closer to you, rather than ceding that land and culture and tradition to somebody who is out to destroy you. And I mean China and Napakis. You have to be proactive.
Right. Okay, next. Akshay Chitnis. Hypothetically, if democracy comes under real threat in USA, then will it pave way for Republic 2.0 here in India?
Did you get this question?
I don't see the connection actually.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Because I have done a whole event on Republic 2.0,
Right.
and I didn't make this connection. So I don't know how the two things are connected. Pappu in Malayalam. Mandan. Mandan. Okay, as in Mand.
Thank you, Shankarji. Thank you.
Mandan. Okay.
Now,
So, Mandan.
Rahul Mandan kar denge.
Okay. So Mandan Rahul Zindabad. Mandan Rahul Zindabad. How many STEM PhDs should India have per year?
I can't answer that question. And I have no hesitation.
Nor can I.
What I talk about is PhD.
I think we should bother more about the quality of the PhDs.
Quality, yes, exactly.
Not
How do you create
quantities.
people who are relevant to your need? That's the true meaning of education. If I don't need something, why am I getting a PhD for that? And that's the reason why I did not, believe in when my professor Dandekar in Gokhale Institute told me do PhD. I said, sir, आप 7 साल मुझे लगेंगे PhD करने में. मेरी सारी जवानी गुजर जाएगी उसमें. और वो करके मैं कुछ काम नहीं आएगा other than becoming a teacher. So why would I want to do that when I want to contribute more to and fulfill my own potential? He agreed with me. He encouraged me to go ahead and do whatever I wanted. So PhD is not relevant. Education that is relevant is key to fulfill your own ambitions and dreams.
Right. Okay, Arun Tangri. Basically, we are saying that in the near future, immigrants from socialist US will come to a capitalist India to live an Indian dream.
Arunji, excellent observation. Thank you.
आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर. Oneness, thank you, Vibhuti Ji.
Thank you.
Next. Sir, do you see Biden throwing Taiwan under the truck like Obama tried to do with Japan in Senkaku Islands?
I personally hope he doesn't do that. And I don't think it will happen because Taiwan is a country which is fiercely independent. And it has a tie-up nuclear umbrella agreement with the United States. So if China tries to be acquiring a land, like US allowed Crimea to go to Russia. If China does something like that, I'm looking at a potential Third World War situation because many countries in Asia will not be sitting idle for that part of it. Because China has an aggressive stance towards everything that it believes it owns, just as it did to Mongolia, just because India gave a good gesture. So world doesn't run on gestures. And there may be some something that China is asking Biden to do, but will it succeed? I do not know that.
Yeah, that's where the military-industrial complex comes in.
Right.
And Biden is beholden to them.
Right.
Let's not forget.
Okay, let's have it. Let's go. Let's have another one.
Next. Suni, what happened? Chetan Sharma, how important it is for both US and India to stay on the same page and fight out the left together, considering the overlap of the two across Western India. But the American government is leftist government.
Right.
So how do they get together on this?
India and United States have had serious divergence in policy prescriptions. So whether they will fight left together, US Republican Party will do. I can vouch for that. Republican Party will team up with India to fight socialism and communism. Democratic Party, it's a doubt.
Arjun Sharma Jain said now it's snowflakes in the upper echelons of US Politburo and Karen to lead them in the future. How easy is it for India to stake claim as the heir to global throne?
Look, there is nothing like a global throne. Let's put it that way. China did not occupy a throne. China did it by acquiring the economic strength that gave it a political power. That's what is important for India, to be counted, to be heard, to be listened to. It matters where the money is. And India is a place which can offer tremendous opportunity to gain its own due spot. I put it that way. India needs to work hard to acquire that spot. Nobody will give you that position, nobody will put you on the throne, but India has to earn that right to be counted in the global political arena.
That's it. That brings us to the end of this show. Thank you, all viewers. Wonderful being with you. Wonderful being with Vibhuti Ji. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram.
Thank you, everybody. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Take care. Vande Mataram.